Well, joining me live is the Employment and Workplace Relations Minister, Murray Watt. Murray Watt, thank you for your time. And let me start by asking about this battle, it seems, between government policy and the aims of the Reserve Bank in bringing down inflation. Do you accept what the Reserve Bank Governor and officials appear to be saying, that perhaps federal and state government spending is not doing all it can to help tame this inflation beast and get us an interest rate cut sooner?
Well, good morning, Andrew. Good to be with you. Well, I think even the clip that you played of Michelle Bullock, the Reserve Bank Governor, acknowledged that governments have a job to do, which is to provide services, to provide infrastructure, in addition to taking serious action to keep inflation coming down. And that's exactly what we're doing. You will have seen separate comments from Michelle Bullock where she has acknowledged that the government's work in turning Liberal deficits into Labor surpluses and also providing significant cost of living relief while taking pressure off inflation is actually helping with this fight against inflation. So I think the government and the RBA are as at one in terms of fighting inflation. They've got a role to play, so do we. And the best thing we can do is to continue with that surplus budget that we've already put in place, delivering cost of living pressure that is taking pressure off inflation while the RBA does its job as well.
Do you agree the economy's running too hot?
I think that all of the data that comes out demonstrates that that's not the case, Andrew. We are concerned about getting that balance right between bringing inflation down, as we have done since taking office. Let's remember that when we came to office, inflation was over 6%. That's the legacy left behind by the coalition. It's now under 4% as a result of the work that we've done. But at the same time, we do need to make sure that we don't crash the economy entirely. And, you know, there are all sorts of comments being made by Angus Taylor, Peter Dutton and others calling for cuts to spending without recognising the serious harm that would do to an economy which is already experiencing fairly low growth. So it's about getting that balance right, and the policies that we've put in place around surplus budgets, cost of living relief, but also investing in future jobs and our future industries is the right one to manage these economic circumstances.
Well, what do you think of Michelle Bullock saying no rate cut for 6 months? I mean, Philip Lowe got into trouble for saying no rate hike for a couple of years.
Well, I'm not going to give a personal assessment of Michelle Bullock in her role. Obviously, she and Jim Chalmers work very closely together, in particular, along with other members of the government. But I think the comments that she has made demonstrate that we do need to be careful in our economic management. We do need to get that balance right, as I was saying. The government will be doing everything we possibly can to keep inflation low and keep it coming down while dealing with a range of other international factors that are beyond our control. So as Michelle Bullock recognised, there are things that governments can do, particularly around fiscal policy, and that's what we're doing around our surpluses, cost of living relief and other
Do you think she'll change her mind?
While she makes her own mind up.
Do you think she'll change her mind?
I'm not going to predict. I'm not going to predict what's in the mind of the Reserve Bank Governor, Andrew. I mean, I think that all Australians, including myself as a mortgage holder, were quite relieved that the RBA did not put up rates at its most recent decision. Obviously, they're wanting to play a careful game themselves in not acting too quickly or too slow, and that's what we'd certainly hope that they do.
On the childcare pay rise policy, can you confirm there's an even bigger childcare policy coming our way before the election?
Well, the election's a little while off yet, Andrew, so I won't be confirming anything here today. But I think you can see that the government's intent is clear when it comes to broadening access to childcare and early education, making it cheaper for families, and also for ensuring the workers in this industry are fairly paid. I was in a childcare centre in the electorate of Peter Khalil within days of being sworn into this new role, meeting with early childhood educators. And the point they were making to me was that pay rates in the industry were so low that people were leaving in droves. That presents a major workforce issue, not just for the early childhood sector, but also for all of those workers who depend on childcare in order to work themselves. So I think this decision from the government to provide a 15% pay rise to childcare workers is another example of the work that we're doing to deal with cost of living pressures, make sure that wages are taken into account. You know, we've made a range of decisions from supporting aged care pay rises now to supporting childcare pay rises, supporting minimum wage increases, making sure that people have the wages they need to deal with cost of living pressures is just as important as providing some of that cost of living relief that we have.
So no concern from you any of the wage rises the government's pushed for could be driving up inflation?
No, not at all, Andrew. And in fact, you would have seen that in this latest announcement, what we've actually said is that to be eligible to receive this extra money for pay, childcare centres will need to limit any fee increases to 4.4% over the next 12 months. So there's actually a measure in this policy to ensure that it isn't inflationary. I have to say I was pretty disappointed in the response of Peter Dutton and the opposition to this. They sort of made these begrudging remarks about a pay rise for some of the lowest paid and most essential workers in our community. But of course, there's always a catch. They always go on, and Peter Dutton went on to say, you know, he's worried about the impact of this pay rise. There's always negativity. It doesn't really sound like they support this pay rise whatsoever, because what they want to do is talk about the impacts that it might have and ignoring the steps we've taken to limit inflationary increases as a result of this decision.